Hey guys, this is my 10 things I hate, 10 reasons on why I hate being transgender. Um, like, one of them has to do with, money situation and legal as well. Well, money slash legal stuff involving being transgender if you plan on legally transitioning. Um, Number one, being constantly misgendered as male if you're male to female transgender, or female if you're female to male transgender, or just constantly misgendered if you're non-binary as well. Number two, having the fear that you're going to be raped or murdered for being transgender. Honestly, it pisses me off when people feel the need to rape or murder people who are transgender. Number three, if you have anxiety, having to constantly worry about about anxiety attacks and anytime throughout the day. It's just if you have serious anxiety, it's just having to having to constantly worry that you're gonna end up having an anxiety attack in public, or um just an anxiety attack in general, whether you're in public or not. Number four, fearing that you're never going to be able to medically and or legally transition if you plan on medically transitioning and or legally transitioning. Number five, people tearing down any confidence that you try to have. At school, here's the thing. Is past, since school started this year, back in early August, I have had about I've had well, actually, no, this last session, I've had about one, if I'm counting correctly, at least 5 or 7 anxiety attacks and 3 or 4. Actually, no, not 5 or 7. About 8, 7 to 9 anxiety attacks at least. And 4 near anxiety attacks, just because of the whole people constantly misgendering me shit. And well, the first anxiety attack I had was at the second day of the session. Well, it was sometime at the start of this last session. That first anxiety attack was actually because of this field trip that I went on with some people from school to a college up in Fort Collins, and I didn't know where anyone was, so that caused me to have an anxiety attack. And then I had about 7 or 8 more anxiety attacks after that, at least 7 or 8 at the most, at least. And then 4 other near anxiety attacks. All right. Number 6, fearing that people will physically and or verbally beat you down just for being transgender. And it's just yeah, I may live in a more liberal state, but it's just that doesn't stop my fear that I'll end up getting physically beaten down or verbally beaten down for being transgender. Number 7, fearing that you'll be thrown out of your house for being transgender, depending on your living environment. If you live in a environment where you don't know what the people that you live with think slash feel about LGBT, about people who are LGBT. Like if you live with your parents, you don't know. Like if you live in an environment where it's just like you don't know what they think slash feel about people who are LGBT, then it's just like at least ask, hey, what do you think of LGBT people? Like, do you hate that? Like what's your opinion on the whole on people who are LGBTQ plus? And it's just like if they're all like we accept people regardless of who they are, then it's just like um then from that point try and think of a way to come out instead of just being like, all right, we could. I'm only asking because I'm transgender myself or LGBT. Like at least try and come up with a way to like think of a better way to come out to them than through that. And like after like asking them what they think of LGBT people, but um if they say like I like we don't like I depending on if you live with just one of your parents or both of your parents, if they say that they don't accept LGBT people, I don't know exactly, but probably would not be the best to come out to them until you move out, unless you want to risk possibly getting unless you want to possibly risk shit that you don't want to happen. But I want to know because I've never had to deal with that, so probably not the best to listen to that advice. Um, alright. Um, Number 8. The fact that a lot of places won't hire people that depending on what the job is, that they won't hire you for being just because you're transgender. Like just like even if they are all like, oh yeah, we totally like this person, and yet when they find if they find out that you're transgender, like male to female or female to male, it's just like, oh no, sorry, you're not hired because you're trans. We don't want trans people at this in this workplace. Um, I know I sound kind of guyish. It's just that it's like after 1 in the morning. Thankfully, I don't have school until Wednesday, so I would be in deep shit if I had school today. It's like um, but yes, some places won't hire you if you're transgender, but it's just like it's better to do research on like the company that you're planning on like at least applying to, and like look up like what is blah blah blah's views on LGBT rights and that kind of shit first before you decide on applying. It's like if you apply and you find out that they're like extremely homophobic or biphobic or transphobic or all that shit, probably not best to finish. Yeah. Um, but it's just like probably best to do research on the place that you're thinking of applying to before you apply. That way you know that if they're accepting of LGBT people, then you can apply. But if they're not, then best not to. It's probably best not to apply to that place. Um, Number 9. Like if you come out as transgender before reaching the age of 20, um, your life expectancy is reduced to 25 years old, depending on where you live. Like if like usually trans people's lives are reduced to 25 years old if they come out before they reach 25. Like, I came out before I even turned 15, like a month, exactly 1 month before I turned 15, but I didn't come out to my mom until I was about 15 and 1 month, 15 and 1.5 months years old. Because it's just like, even though my mom accepted me for being pansexual, like at the time of when I was identifying as pansexual, because now I'm back to identifying as bisexual but panromantic. Like, I just fear that she was gonna kick me out for being transgender. Um, um, yeah. And, like, if you come out before you reach 25 as transgender, then chances are that your death might happen by the time that you turn 25, depending on where you live. Yeah. Alright. And then number 10. Like, if you legally transition, I think it costs at least, like, somewhere, at least $500 at the most. And if not, somewhere between $500 and $1,000, depending on, like, yeah, at least $500 at the most, at least. But yeah, that's pretty much all that I have on the things I hate about being transgender. Well, and it's just like with number 10, it's because, like, it costs like $100 to just at least get a petition started on getting your name legally changed, and then, like, I think $90 at the most, depending on the police jurisdiction of the nearest police department of where you live. Just depends on the police department of near where you live, the close police department where you live, and like 75 cents per pay, or just a bunch of shit. Like, my guess is like around $500 at the most, or somewhere between $500 and $1,000 at least. Like, well, not 500, probably like 300 at the most, or somewhere between $300 and $600, depends on how much it costs for all that shit total. Yeah. Alright, so peace the fuck out.